When you take your last breath, you will finally understand. In that final moment when your chest rises one last time and your lungs empty into silence, every illusion you carried will shatter like glass. The titles you fought for, the wealth you accumulated, the arguments you won, the pride you protected, all of it will dissolve in an instant, and you will stand before me, stripped of everything you thought defined you. Only then will you see what truly remained. Only then will you know what I was counting all along. This moment comes for everyone, the powerful and the powerless, the rich and the poor, the famous and the forgotten. Death does not discriminate. It does not negotiate. It does not wait for you to be ready. It arrives on my schedule, not yours. And when it comes, you will not have time to prepare. You will not have time to make amends for wasted years. You will not have time to undo what was done or do what was left undone. The breath that escapes your lips in that final second carries with it the sum of your entire existence. Everything you were, everything you chose, everything you became. I'm speaking to you now, not to frighten you, but to awaken you, because the truth is, most people live their entire lives chasing shadows. They chase money as if it will follow them beyond the grave. They chase recognition as if applause echoes in eternity. They chase comfort as if ease is the currency of heaven. But I tell you this, when your final breath leaves your body, none of that will matter. Not 1 cent, not one title, not one moment of comfort. What will matter is what you did with the time I gave you, the love you carried, and the obedience you chose. You think you have time. You think tomorrow is guaranteed. You think you can change later, repent later, surrender later. But I never promised you tomorrow. I only promised you now, this breath, this moment, this chance. Every morning you wake is a gift I chose to give you. Every sunset you see is a mercy I extended. Every heartbeat is a reminder that your time is not infinite. Yet you live as though death is distant, as though the end will never come, as though you have endless opportunities to get it right. But the graveyards are full of people who thought the same thing, full of people who plan to change next year, full of people who said one day but never saw that day arrive. You see, death is not the end. It is the reveal. It is the moment when the curtain is pulled back and you see with perfect clarity what was real and what was illusion. The world taught you to measure success by what you owned. I measure it by what owned you. The world taught you to value visibility. I value the choices you made in secret. The world taught you to fear losing. I taught you that surrender is the only way to truly win. But most never learn this until it is too late. Most never understand until their breath runs out and their eyes close for the last time. Let me tell you what happens in that moment. When your heart stops beating, when your body goes still, when the voices around you fade into silence, you will realize something that no preacher, no book, no sermon could fully prepare you for. You will realize that your entire life was a test. Every decision, every word, every thought, I was watching, not to condemn you, but to see what you truly valued. And in that final moment, when you stand before me, only 3 things will remain. Not your bank account, not your reputation, not your achievements, only 3 things, and these 3 things will determine everything. The first thing that will remain is your intention. What did you truly want? Not what you said you wanted, not what you pretended to want, but what your heart secretly craved when no one was watching. Did you want to serve me, or did you want to serve yourself? Did you want to love others, or did you want to be loved? Did you want to build my kingdom, or did you want to build your own? Your intention was the seed of every action, and I saw it. Even when you hid it from others, even when you hid it from yourself, I saw it. And now, in this final moment, your intention is laid bare. No more masks, no more excuses, just the truth of what you truly desired. Intention is the root, action is the fruit. You can perform good deeds with corrupt intentions. You can speak holy words with a divided heart. You can kneel in prayer while your mind calculates gain. But I am not fooled. I do not look at the surface. I look at the source. I do not measure what you did. I measure why you did it. And if your why was rooted in pride and greed, in the hunger for approval, then your actions, no matter how impressive, were built on sand. They looked good to others, but they meant nothing to me, because I do not reward performance. I reward purity of heart. Many people spent their lives pretending. They prayed in public but cursed in private. They gave to be seen but withheld when no one was watching. They spoke of faith but lived in fear. Their intention was never pure. It was always divided. And now, standing before me, they realize that I never asked for perfection. I asked for honesty. I asked for a heart that sought me above all else. But they gave me performance instead of presence. They gave me words instead of surrender. And now their intention is revealed. And they see that it was never about me. It was always about them. Think about the moments when you helped someone. Was it because you genuinely cared or because you wanted to be seen as caring? Think about the times you gave. Was it from compassion or from the desire to feel generous? Think about your worship. Was it because you longed for my presence or because you wanted others to see your devotion? Your intention determines the eternal weight of every action. Two people can do the exact same thing, but if one does it for me and the other does it for praise, only one will be rewarded, because I do not judge the act. I judge the heart behind the act. The second thing that will remain is your obedience. Did you do what I asked even when it cost you? Did you follow my voice even when the world mocked you? Did you walk in faith even when the path was unclear? Obedience is not about rules. It is about trust. It is about believing that my way is higher than your way, that my timing is wiser than your timing, that my plan is greater than your plan. But most people obeyed only when it was convenient. They followed me only when it felt safe. They trusted me only when they could see the outcome. That is not obedience, that is negotiation. True obedience is walking in the dark because I said to walk. It is giving when you have little because I said to give. It is forgiving when the wound is still fresh because I said to forgive. It is choosing my will over your comfort, my truth over your opinion, my voice over the crowd's approval. And I tell you, when you take your last breath, I will not ask you how much you gained. I will ask you how much you obeyed. Did you trust me when I closed doors? Did you rest when I said to wait? Did you move when I said to go? Your obedience will be the evidence of your faith, and it will remain long after your body turns to dust. There were moments when I asked you to be silent, but you spoke. Moments when I asked you to speak, but you stayed silent. Moments when I told you to stay, but you ran. Moments when I told you to leave, but you clung to what was comfortable. Every time you chose your understanding over my instruction, you weakened your obedience. Every time you second-guessed my voice because it did not make sense, you revealed where your trust truly lay. Obedience is not logical, it is spiritual. It does not always make sense to the natural mind, but it always makes sense in eternity. I asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. I asked Noah to build an ark when there was no rain. I asked Moses to confront Pharaoh with only a staff. I asked David to face a giant with only a stone. None of it made sense, but they obeyed, and their obedience became their legacy. What did I ask you to do that you ignored because it seemed too hard, too risky, too foolish? What doors did I tell you to walk through that you refused because you could not see what was on the other side? Your disobedience was not rebellion. It was unbelief, and unbelief has consequences that last beyond the grave. The third thing that will remain is your love. Not the love you spoke about, not the love you posted about, but the love you lived. Did you love me with your whole heart? Or did you love me only when it suited you? Did you love others, or did you love the idea of being loved? Did you serve, or did you seek to be served? Love is the only currency of eternity. Everything else is temporary. Power fades, wealth vanishes, fame is forgotten, but love, real, selfless, sacrificial love, that remains. That is what I will see when you stand before me. Many people confused love with emotion. They thought love was a feeling that came and went, but love is a decision. It is choosing kindness when you are angry. It is choosing patience when you are frustrated. It is choosing forgiveness when you are hurt. It is choosing to see others the way I see them, not the way they appear. Most people loved only those who loved them back. They served only those who could serve them in return. They gave only when they knew they would receive. But I asked for more. I asked you to love the unlovable, to serve the ungrateful, to forgive the unrepentant, because that is how I loved you. And when your last breath leaves your body, I will ask you, did you love the way I loved? Love is proven in sacrifice, not in words. Anyone can say, I love you, but how many will lay down their comfort for another? How many will give their time, their resources, their energy to someone who can never repay them? How many will forgive someone who never asked for forgiveness? How many will bless someone who cursed them? That is the love I am looking for, the love that costs something, the love that mirrors mine. Because I did not love you from a distance, I came down, I gave everything, I held nothing back, and I am asking you to do the same. When you stood before someone who hurt you, did you respond with vengeance or with grace? When you saw someone in need, did you walk past or did you stop? When you had the chance to speak truth, did you stay silent to keep the peace or did you speak because you loved them enough to risk the relationship? Love is not passive. Love is active. It moves, it serves, it sacrifices. It stays when everything else leaves. And at the end of your life, I will measure your love not by what you felt, but by what you did. Now listen carefully. Your wealth will not follow you. The money you saved, the investments you made, the properties you owned, they all stay behind. You cannot take a single coin into eternity. I gave you wealth, not so you could hoard it, but so you could steward it. I gave you resources, not so you could build monuments to yourself, but so you could bless others. But many of you treated wealth as if it were the goal. You sacrificed relationships for profit. You sacrificed integrity for gain. You sacrificed peace for accumulation. And now when you stand before me with empty hands, you will realize that you spent your life gathering what you could never keep. The problem was never having money. The problem was trusting money. You looked to your bank account for security instead of looking to me. You made decisions based on what would increase your wealth instead of what would honor my will. You worried more about losing your savings than losing your soul. And in doing so, you made money your God. You bowed to it, you served it, you obeyed it. And when you take your last breath, you will see that it gave you nothing in return. It could not save you, it could not redeem you, it could not follow you beyond the grave. I watched you work yourself to exhaustion, chasing financial freedom, but you were never free. You were enslaved. Enslaved to the need for more, enslaved to the fear of losing what you had, enslaved to the comparison with those who had more than you. True freedom was never in your account balance, it was in your surrender to me, but you chose the illusion of control over the peace of trust, and now you see that every hour you spent building financial security was an hour you could have spent building eternal treasure. Your titles will not follow you. The degrees you earned, the positions you held, the recognition you received, none of it matters here. In eternity, there are no CEOs, no PhDs, no celebrities. There is only truth. And the truth is, your value was never in your title. It was in your character. I never asked you to be important. I asked you to be faithful. I never asked you to be famous. I asked you to be humble. I never asked you to be powerful. I asked you to be obedient. But most of you built your identity on what the world called success. And now that success means nothing. You chase titles as if they would make you more valuable in my eyes. But I do not see you the way the world sees you. The world sees your resume. I see your heart. The world sees your accomplishments. I see your motives. The world sees what you built. I see who you became in the process. And I tell you, there are people with no titles, no degrees, no recognition who will stand before me with more honor than those who spent their lives climbing ladders of human approval. Your identity was never meant to come from what you achieved. It was meant to come from who I created you to be. But you let the world define you. You let your job title become your identity. You let your position determine your worth. And when you lost the position, you lost yourself because you never knew who you were apart from what you did. But I knew you before you did anything. I loved you before you achieved anything. And your value in my eyes was never tied to your performance. It was tied to the fact that you are mine. Your comfort will not follow you. The luxury you enjoyed, the ease you craved, the convenience you demanded, it all ends. You spent your life avoiding discomfort, but I told you that growth happens in discomfort. You spent your life seeking ease, but I told you that faith is built in hardship. You spent your life running from pain, but I told you that pain is often the pathway to purpose. And now when you take your last breath, you will see that all the comfort you chased was a distraction from what truly mattered. You were so busy being comfortable that you forgot to be useful. You were so focused on ease that you missed the assignments I gave you. So what remains? Only three things: your intention, the truth of what your heart desired, your obedience, the evidence of your trust in me, your love, the measure of your faith in action. These three things will stand before me when everything else falls away. And they will determine not your worth, but your reward, not your value, but your legacy, not your identity, but your eternity. Some of you are hearing this and your heart is racing. You are thinking about all the years you wasted, all the opportunities you missed, all the moments you chose yourself over me, and you feel regret. Good. Regret is the beginning of repentance. But do not let regret paralyze you. Let it awaken you, because you still have time. You still have breath. You still have the chance to change your intention, to deepen your obedience, to expand your love. But you must start now, not tomorrow, not when it is more convenient. Now. Stop chasing what will not remain. Stop building your life around things that will turn to dust. Stop measuring your worth by the world's standards. You were not created to accumulate. You were created to reflect my glory. You were not created to be seen. You were created to see me. You were not created to be served. You were created to serve. And when you finally understand this, when you finally align your life with eternal truth, you will stop fearing death, because you will know that what you built will remain. Every moment you spend in surrender is an investment in eternity. Every act of obedience echoes beyond the grave. Every choice to love when it costs you something builds a foundation that cannot be shaken. This is not about working your way into heaven. This is about living in a way that reflects you already understand what heaven values. It is about becoming now who you will be then. It is about letting eternity shape your present instead of letting the present steal your eternity. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be intentional. I am not asking you to have all the answers. I am asking you to trust me with the questions. I am not asking you to do everything. I am asking you to do what I called you to do. And when you take your last breath, when your time on earth is complete, you will not stand before me with regret. You will stand with confidence, because you will know that you lived not for the applause of men, but for the approval of God. Your last breath is coming, not to scare you, but to prepare you. You do not know when, you do not know how, but it is coming. And in that moment, everything you thought mattered will fade. The noise will stop. The distractions will end. The illusions will shatter. And you will stand before me with only what truly remained: your intention, your obedience, your love. Let these three be pure. Let these three be strong. Let these three be rooted in me. Because when your final breath leaves your body, these three will speak for you, and they will determine where you spend eternity. So I ask you now, while you still have time, what are you building? What are you chasing? What are you living for? If it will not remain beyond your last breath, it is not worth your life. Stop wasting time on what will disappear. Start investing in what will endure, because the day is coming when your eyes will close, your heart will stop, and you will stand before me. And in that moment, you will finally see what I saw all along, that only three things ever mattered, and everything else was noise. This is not a threat. This is a promise. This is not judgment. This is truth. And truth does not change because you ignore it. It waits. It stands. And when your time runs out, it will be the only thing left standing. So do not walk away from this message unchanged. Do not hear these words and go back to the life you were living as if nothing happened. Because something has happened. You have been reminded of what matters. You have been confronted with eternity. And now you must choose. Will you live for what remains, or will you continue chasing what disappears? The choice is yours, but the consequence is eternal.